welcome back to Home Turf. My name is Naegeli. Today I am not the normal voice, usually hosting this podcast, usually is Grant Gaspard, but Grant's a little sick right now. But here I got with me is Jordan. Jordan, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Jordan Epp. I'm an assistant sports editor with the Battalion, and I am here to fill up a role on the Home Turf podcast, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, of course. Grant woke up feeling a little bad this morning, so passed the torch off to us, and we're ready to continue on episode 2 of Home Turf. So once again, just reiterating, this is a podcast where A&M students talk about A&M sports. So Jordan, tell us a little bit about you and how you got into sports writing.
I had actually started out at A&M as a business major. I had no original intent on sports journalism, and then I realized that I hated what I was doing and was trying to figure out what I was passionate about, and I realized that sports and sports media was something that I enjoyed in my free time. So I thought, if I'm going to have to live my life working, I might as well live my life working something I enjoy. So I decided to try and pursue content creation, and I have since joined the Battalion and become an editor by this point. And yeah, I mean, I just love what I'm doing, and I'm excited to keep on doing it for a lot longer.
Yeah, exactly. For those of you who don't know, me and Jordan are co-assistant editors here at the Battalion, along with our other sports editor, Casey, who eventually we'll try to have to get him on here. So let's talk about a little bit about what happened this week. So first off, Monday and Tuesday, we had men's golf placed 7th at the C Best Invitational. After that, on Tuesday, men's basketball, 90-80, took an L to Tennessee. It was a rough one. Not a good look. Men's basketball just keeps losing. On Thursday, we have women's basketball, 77-64, a win versus Arkansas. So finally, women's basketball is able to pull out a win. What else do we got, Jordan?
And then on Friday through Saturday, there was the track Charlie Thomas Invitational. Track continues to kill it, as they have been all season. Continue to keep your eye on them because they are trying to do great things. Then on Saturday, there was the men's basketball team. They played against Missouri Tigers, lost 70-66. On Sunday, women's basketball played against the University of Kentucky Wildcats. Went to overtime after a big second half comeback, 73-64 in favor of the Aggies. And then as well today, women's tennis is taking place against SMU. We do not have a result on that yet, I believe, but women's tennis undefeated to this point. They will continue to try and stack up those wins because they got the indoor championships, coming up soon.
Yeah, for sure. Women's tennis has been killing it lately. Also, big things happened in the football world this week. Had National Signing Day this past Wednesday. A lot of you probably already know A&M inked the #1 recruiting class that's ever been recorded in the history of modern era recruiting, according to 27 Sports. So that's a huge win for A&M. Let's talk about who committed actually on National Signing Day. We had 2 extra guys that decided to join the Aggies. Who are those guys?
All the numbers that we'll be spitting out will be according to 24/7 Sports composite rankings. Yes. But the 2 players who committed to A&M, it is Shamar Stewart, who is a 5-star defensive lineman, and 4-star safety Jacoby Matthews. Both of them were not previously committed to A&M, but signed on National Signing Day, and that was able to edge Texas A&M up into that #1 spot all time according to the composite rankings for the best class in collegiate football recruiting modern history.
Yeah, a lot of different adjectives, a lot of different things, whatever you want to say there. It's crazy how, Jimbo Fisher and his coaching staff and all these guys worked so hard to, finally ink this class. And I don't know if you saw, whenever Shamar Stewart committed, he was a big favorite of Miami because he is from Florida. And he did a little fake out, put the hat back down kind of thing. And so I know a lot of Aggies are excited to come see him play. And he is one of 7 defensive linemen. I believe we're going to be moving him to edge as well. But still, one of 7 defensive linemen that this class got. And I'm just really excited to see things take off.
Yeah, I mean, Shamar Stewart is from the state of Florida, so it was sort of, something that the people there were probably hoping would end up happening, a little fake out there. But one thing that we need to keep in mind when we talk about the A&M recruiting class is not only talking about the players, but about the people behind the scenes who put it all together. And I'm not talking about Bobby Taylor. I'm talking about the recruiters. Elijah Robinson, the assistant head coach for the A&M Aggies, actually secured the spot as the number 1 recruiter of the 2022 cycle. And as well, James Coley, the tight ends coach, and TJ Rushing, the defensive backs coach, were also very successful and very highly ranked in terms of the number in which 24/7 ranked them for recruiters. And as well, there were other coaches besides those 3 who were even highly ranked as well. So it doesn't just happen with the players. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that works to put this entire thing together.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, since the day that they're allowed to actually recruit these players, I know they worked really hard to just get these guys here. I mean, Kyle Field, you heard it from Jimbo Fisher, is an amazing atmosphere to play in, SEC ball, and it's really who wouldn't want to play here, in my opinion. But yeah, let's also talk about one guy, unfortunately, we didn't get, was Harold Perkins. He was previously committed here. I don't know if y'all saw on Twitter, he took a little lighter to an A&M hat. So he was throwing some shots at A&M, which, you know, he can do what he wants. I'm just excited for us to play him at LSU or at Kyle Field. I think that'll be a very fun matchup.
Oh, absolutely. And that's definitely going to be something that if he is getting early playing time, that will definitely spark some bad blood between the 2 teams when they face off in this upcoming season. So do you want to start off with talking about some of the standouts on offense? Because when we were talking about this offensive group, one person that you specifically thought could be an immediate starter was Connor Wigman.
I did. I really like Wigman. I like the way he plays, his ability to throw. Also, he can run. I really just think if you, especially with the quarterback room right now that we have, it's a great quarterback room. But I think if you are wanting to come in and win this spot as a freshman, that says a lot about you, especially going up against experienced guys like Max Johnson and Haynes, which are also great, you know, SEC caliber quarterbacks. So I really am excited to see him play. Also has a heck of an arm, is going to be playing baseball at A&M too. Who else do we have on offense that you think will be a day 1 starter?
I'm not entirely sure if anyone will be a day 1 starter on the offense, but one person who definitely needs to be talked about when talking about the offensive players on this team, you have to talk about Marshall, the wide receiver. Chris Marshall is a 5-star wide receiver, but he's also a basketball player, another 2-sport athlete similar to Connor Wigman. He actually signed with A&M as a basketball player as well on signing day. And if you're talking about players that can get impact right away on the offense, I personally think that you have to look at those wide receivers because the wide receiving core is going to be growing up with Connor, and they're going to be establishing rapport over time. I mean, I've seen all over Twitter that this class is very close to one another. And so if you are looking at anyone who's going to make an immediate impact, I think it's probably going to be people like Evan Stewart and Chris Marshall, who are some 5-star receivers that can get on there early. And offensive line, I wouldn't be surprised if some offensive linemen were able to see some tick early on too.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. This, like you said, this quarterback or this wide receiver room is going to grow up with Wigan, or honestly, all these guys. Haynes has a ton of eligibility left. I know Max Johnson has 3 years, so I mean, whoever wins that battle, they're going to have a ton of time to grow with these guys. We got Le'Veon Moss. I think he's an underrated guy, only running back we had, and I think when this class has time to mature, he's going to be your pretty much go-to running back, I feel like, and I'm excited to see him play. Along with Cam Dewberry, another offensive lineman, 4-star, really, really tough physical player. Let's kind of shift things. Let's go on to defense. Let's talk about, highest rated recruit A&M's ever gotten, Walter Nolan out of Tennessee. What do you think we're going to see from him when he steps on the field?
Defense is definitely where the beef was added for this A&M recruiting class. There were a lot of really highly touted players that were added on the defensive side of the ball, particularly Walter Nolan, who, as you mentioned, passed Myles Garrett for the highest rated recruit that A&M has ever signed in the history of the program. And Walter Nolan, I mean, when you're a 5-star and you're the number 2 player in the class, that about speaks for yourself. He's big, he's physical, 6'4", 325 is what he was listed at. he's going to be able to get on the field really quickly because A&M, they lost a lot of defensive linemen in the season, a few to graduation, a few to early leaving for the draft, but there's going to be a lot of empty spaces on that defensive line rotation. Walter Nolan might not only be able to see time right away in rotation, but may be able to just straight up start right away and get that experience. Because when you're a 5-star defensive lineman, you need to get that experience when you step up onto the next level so that you can grow quickly.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. He's built like an SEC lineman, along with just a lot of these other edges and defensive linemen. Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy is going to be another guy I think could have an impact right away. Like we said earlier, Shamar Stewart's a great addition to this. Malik Silla, I personally went to high school with him. I've seen him play. He gets hands in the face. He's a good player who's coached by great coaches. Also won the state championship last year with his old high school teammate, I guess not old high school teammate, current teammate as well now, Bobby Taylor, who they're going to be playing defense together once again. So really excited to see some of the impacts these defensive players have. So
I mean, besides the players that you mentioned, there's also 5-star cornerback Denver Harris, who was another state champion this season from North Shore High School. The A&M team added a lot of talent in the defensive back group. Bryce Anderson, Smoke Bowie, Jared Kerr, Jacoby Matthews, Denver Harris, Bobby Taylor, Marquise Groves-Killebrew. There's a lot of talent on that defensive side of the field, and they're just going to be able to add just talent all across the board. And even if the defensive coordinator is no longer with the team as he was last year, Mike Elko is now with Duke. This is going to be a very new, rejuvenated, revitalized defense that will likely be good for years to come.
Yeah, I completely agree. And whenever Jimbo Fisher had his press conference on National Signing Day, this is a little less recruiting talk and a little more coaching talk, but he took some shots at some SEC coaches, and it was honestly really funny because they had a lot of accusations that they're paying these recruits $30 million, and that's why they were coming, and that's why they were, wanting to be here, and kind of discrediting A&M for recruiting all these guys just simply because they wanted to come to A&M. I know he took some shots at Nick Saban. He took some shots at
Lane Kiffin.
Yep, forgot his name there for a second.
Called them all clown acts.
He did, indeed. And, this was a little cut out at the end, but Jimbo threw in some explicits here and there, so he was really mad, really fed up, and he just wants people to know, hey, we're not paying these guys to come here. It's because they genuinely want to come here. So
he understands he wants to build a program and that there's multiple things to offer at A&M besides the NIL that sliced bread alleges.
Sliced bread. I saw something on Twitter. It was like sliced bread, more like burned toast. I was like, oh, that's pretty funny. So moving on from National Signing Day, that has officially come to a close. We're going to talk a little bit about men's basketball. So here at the Battalion, I cover men's basketball and Jordan covers women's basketball. So it's actually perfect combo. We know a lot about these different things. So men's basketball this past week, they've been struggling, honestly. They started off super strong, 4-0 start, and now they can't win a game. They lost to Tennessee. And then they just lost to Mizzou on the road as well, so they're just really struggling right now. And Buzz Williams this past week, a little quote that he said is, "Nobody feels sorry for you, me, or any of us." So this team's really, really trying to get it together. They've been doing better things. They've been making their free throws a little bit more. Some guys that are coming off the bench are having an impact. Wade Taylor, I know he got moved to a starter. Hayden Hefner had a heck of a game against Mizzou. So you're really starting to see some of these guys make an impact. I think once it comes together and it's all complete, they can be a lot better team. What do we see with women's last week, Jordan?
I mean, not too dissimilar to the men's team. The men's team started 15-2, 4-0 in conference, and the women's team started out, I believe, 8-0 to begin the season, and then they suffered a home loss to Texas in the Big 12 SEC Challenge. And since then, it's just kind of been falling apart. The train's come off the rails, and they've struggled to put together any kind of momentum. They're one of the best three-point shooting teams in the nation, but they just have not been able to put together full games. They have a good first quarter, a good second quarter. then they fall off for the third, and then they put it back together into fourth, but now it's too late. Or maybe it's the second quarter that is off whack, and you never know what is going to go wrong, but it's just they can't put together that continuous effort throughout the entire game, and it's been costing them. They've suffered multiple double-digit losses, multiple 20-point losses, but fortunes are starting to turn around. They had a win on February 3rd against Arkansas. They had a win February 6th against Kentucky in overtime. Big-time game for them. That was their first back-to-back wins in 60 days and 2 months.
Man.
But they are starting to put it together, maybe, but it might be a little bit too late. They got the SEC tournament coming up March 2nd through March 6th, and that will be their best chance at making anything happen.
Yeah, rocky road with A&M basketball right now. I mean, and you hate to see it too, because you want Gary Blair to go out with a winning season, go out with a bang. And I really, it's a little sad to see it go down like this. So
you see him in all of his pressers, and he just seems kind of sad, and he always points the finger on himself.
Oh, poor guy.
So you can't help but root for him to succeed in his final season.
Yes, exactly. And hopefully men's, women's gets it together. They need to take some notes from women's tennis, it sounds like, just because they've been killing it recently. So let's look a little bit at what we got coming up this week. So obviously women's basketball, women's tennis battled it out today. We already mentioned that. This week we got men's basketball coming up. It's going to be a tough one for men's basketball at home versus LSU, 6 p.m. On Tuesday, I believe. Yes, Tuesday. That's going to be a tough one. They've already had a loss on the road to LSU, so it's going to be really, really crucial and kind of, I feel like, a little turning point on the season if they could secure this one.
LSU is getting healthy, too. They weren't healthy in the last game, but they got Days and Pinson back, and then their leading scorer was on and off the court in that game with an injury, so they're healthy.
Yeah, that game could go any way, and hopefully A&M can kind of get it together and make something happen. On Thursday, we got women's basketball versus Vandy at 7, also at home, so hopefully they can continue start the little streak they're going on. Let's see, what else do we have on Friday, Jordan?
We also have track at 2 different events, the Don Kirby Elite Invitational and the Indoor Music City Challenge. Then softball this weekend has 2 different doubleheaders. They take on A&M Corpus Christi and the University of Texas at Arlington on one day, and then on the next day they take on University of Texas at Arlington again, along with Western Kentucky. And then women's tennis, they will participate in the ITA National Team Indoor Championships as well. Big time game for them. Equestrian going up against Georgia. Men's basketball at Auburn will be a very
rough one.
very crazy game against the number 1 team in the nation as of current standings. Men's tennis at USF, and that's what's going on this weekend. A lot of games.
Really exciting weekend in sports. Personally, most excited to see Zach Calzada on the sidelines at Auburn. Probably rooting against A&M a little bit. And also, softball season starting, so that should be awesome. Really excited to see those girls kick off softball. We got baseball coming up too, so should be a great week in sports. All right, well, thank you so much for listening to the Home Turf Podcast. This is Kay, the assistant sports editor, and
Jordan, the other assistant sports editor. We got Maroon Life coming out soon.
Yes, go find a Maroon Life wherever you can, whenever it comes out. We've worked really hard on this, and it just is going to cover all spring sports. So if you get a chance to lay your hands on that, go ahead. All right, guys, thanks so much for listening. Hope you all have a good week.